Lauren Marie, so good to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I've never been on, so this is a first.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm sure this. I tried to kind of prep to give you a lot of questions that you weren't asked all the time, but this is probably the only question that you're going to be probably asked a lot. The return to acting, the return to the horror movie world. I mean, how did this kind of come to be? Like, was it like a phone call? Was it meeting someone? Like, what was that like? How did you get involved in a violent nature?
Well, it's been a crazy ride. I mean, I never really stopped acting. I was still doing TV commercials,
Yeah.
and I was doing community theater. I was doing musical theater, and then I became the director of the musical theater of the local theater near me for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been doing some conventions in the summertime, and it came with a phone call. It came with a phone call from one of my reps saying, "Hey, would you be interested in maybe, filming a horror movie?" I
Yeah.
went, "What kind of horror movie?" And they said, "Well, it'll be in Canada." And I went, "Oh, well, yeah." And so they sent me the script. Chris Nash emailed me the script, very long attachment. And I'm reading through it, and I'm going, well, all these people are young, And then I got to where my part was. I went, "Oh, I'm that crazy old chick at the end. Okay, gotcha."
No, I'm
So we had a Zoom meeting, and the rest is I was on board. That got postponed a few weeks because of weather, so I
yes.
had to adjust my schedule accordingly, as well. And luckily, it fell on a week where I had absolutely nothing to do, and it gave me 3 more weeks to learn all of that dialogue.
Wow. It's so crazy because it's so exciting all around because, did some film festivals. So some people have seen it. There was a New York City premiere on Governor's Island, which was where you attended, which looked awesome. Uh,
It was great.
and May 31st in theaters and then eventually it's going to be on Shutter. Is it
Mhm.
starting to kind of sink in a little bit? Like it's like waves, right? Of like people seeing it here and there and then everyone's going to see it. Like it's cool, right?
I think it sunk in the other day, and I posted it on my Instagram. I think on my story, so it's long gone. But I was looking for show times, that I could drive to, less than an hour away or so, because I don't live in New York City. I live northwest of New York City, up
Yeah.
in the mountains, near West Point. So
Yeah.
um, anyway, so I'm looking, I'm going, oh, look at that. It's at that Alamo place. And I went to get tickets for the advanced screening for last night, and it was sold out. I went, what? It's sold out? And that's when it kind of hit me like, oh my gosh. And it was sold out for another night. It was sold out in New York City. And that's when it kind of like, I got goosebumps, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is really happening. It's cool.
Oh,
It's just very
absolutely.
cool to be all in again. Yeah.
Okay, so Friday the 13th, that's just a world that will never go away in the best way possible because people always kind of watch those movies. Um, there's Jason and then there's Johnny in A Violent Nature. And I want to kind of know because, different killers, different kind of slashers, but I'm just curious. I want to go a little bit back, Laura Marie. Was there ever a time, maybe, after you wrap Friday the 13th, too, that you were at like a convention or everything, were you ever thinking about, like, would it be interesting to see a movie in the perspective of the killer? Like, did you ever think about that at all throughout your kind of time on Friday the 13th?
Well, I'll tell you, after Friday the 13th, I did another horror movie called Girls Night Out, and then I did Neighbor,
Yes.
John Belushi's last movie. And then after that, I was on a soap opera for a lot of years. So I didn't really hit the convention circuit until I would say maybe 10 years ago or so.
Okay.
And I wasn't going that often because I had a very active home life here in my community. So I wasn't really going to a whole lot of them anyway. But as I started seeing the cosplayers, with full regalia, handmade on, I thought, and I'm watching them walk through the halls of the convention centers and how in character they are. And I thought, it's kind of weird because I started wondering if, this Jason, what is he seeing when he
Yes.
walks? And I said to one of them once, I said, do you ever just walk around so completely in character that in your brain you're picking out your victims? And he said, yeah, but I would never do it.
Yeah. And because like I have to tell you, it within a violent nature, it really was one of those, it's like, being press, you get kind of like press releases about what the movie's going to be, right? It's going to be at the film festivals, and then you get like photos, and then it's like you finally see a trailer, you get to see it, and you go from like, wow, like reading about it, and then like, wow, seeing the trailer, and then wow, like watching it, because it's like really kind of unique and innovating. Do you think about that in regards to just kind of the fact that this movie is really going to elevate the genre or continue elevating the genre? Because that's what I see at play right now. The horror movie genre is one of the best genres, and a movie like this is going to be talked about for decades in the genre, in my opinion.
Well, I'll tell you, when Chris Nash gave me a call back in December, and he said, and I thought he was calling to tell me he cut me out of the movie, to tell you the truth, because, wait, what's happening? Why is Chris calling me? And he said, it's not set yet, but the movie might be going to Sundance. And I almost fainted on the floor. I was like, Merry Christmas. How cool is that? Mm-hmm. And then he, sends a message that it was definitely going. And I thought, well, that's very cool. And then the trailer there was some buzz with one of the magazines, who review the films at Sundance. And then the first trailer comes out, and my brother saw it in a movie theater when he went to see Immaculata. And he's like, oh my God, that's my sister's voice narrating at the end. He called me up right away. He's like, I can't get away from you. And then there was more buzz. Another trailer came out, a more recent trailer, and people are sending me articles about it on Instagram. Like, hey, look, they did this. Hey, look, they wrote about you. And I'm like, whoa, this is wild. And then, like you said, the Governor's Island, the reception was so amazing with the audience there and the Q&A. Everybody just wanted more. They wanted more information to eat it up. So yeah, now that it's actually arriving in theaters across the country, it's just incredible. I would never have imagined it.
And your role and kind of involvement with a violent nature from like a storytelling kind of like the actor perspective was different than, playing Vicky in Friday the 13th too, right? Like different characters, different worlds.
Totally different.
But what was that like getting back into the slasher kind of mindset? Like work mindset? Like, was it difficult? Was it like easier than you thought it was going to be? Like, what was that? Because it was quite some time, right?
Oh, it had been a long time since I had done, obviously I hadn't done a slasher since Girls Night Out. Now I did do like an indie, a short, and I did a voiceover for another one of the independent horror movies. So I was kind of piecemealing in there a little bit with little touches, but to be in a major motion picture slasher like this, and and having to play a woman who's really telling the story of the violence that's in nature, that's natural and real. It was just an incredible way to jump back into this wonderful community of horror. It's just a wonderful way to do it. Make a splash, And like you said, because Chris Nash's vision is just so focused and so incredible and just so ambient, the movie. And it just, I don't want to say the movie hugs you with its horror, but it's just, you're surrounded by it and you're in it with everybody who's in this movie.
Yes.
You're not just bystanding and listening to, sound effects and music. You're actually walking with this character. That's what makes it so incredibly special and so different than movies before it.
Well, it's crazy because it's like I am not talking about some of the gory stuff that happens in this movie because I just want people to, I don't know. They can read about it, but like we're not going to talk about it. But I mean, I will say the thing about this movie from a filmmaking perspective, I talked to Chris about this as well, is it's just so the 0 to 100, right? Like he's walking. Like, do you know what I mean by that? Like that's incredible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why, hashtag buckle up.
Yeah. And, in theaters, May 31st, I can't wait for people to see it. And then, it's going to make its way on Shudder as well. Laura Marie, it was an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, hey, as they say, thanks for the good time.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been Pop Turn. Of youtube.com/Pop Turn for previous episodes in a violent nature. Going to be in theaters May 31st. Until next time, this is Laura Marie Taylor and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.